All right, and last but not least, we've got the flyweights, guys, and this is a fight where my strongest lean is to the under. The flyweight unders, it's like a meme at this point, but I really think that this is a matchup that it makes some sense, right? We've got two guys that are both primary grapplers, black belts, but also guys that can be submitted, right? They can be caught, they can be out grappled themselves. Jimmy Flick, no losses via submission, but I also think that that can always happen to Jimmy if he gets rocked first, right? Because he does have 5 losses, or excuse me, 6 losses. I misread that. 6 losses via knockout on his record. No wins via knockout for Jimmy Flick. So I think the chances of him getting buzzed and submitted are always there. And I also think that when we're looking at, Malcolm Gordon, I've often said Malcolm Gordon is at times an underrated grappler. He's 6-2 career to the submission prop. And when you look at the submission losses on his record, he got armbarred by Muhammad Makayev in the 3rd round of what was a pretty competitive fight. And he basically got rocked by Amir Albazi and then triangle choked in the 1st round. But again, Amir Albazi is a guy who's right now in the top 10, top 5 in the division, no matter how you want to slice it. So Malcolm Gordon's a guy that's gone out there, got a decision win unanimously over Francisco Figueiredo, went out there and cashed me a nice plus 210 underdog ticket as a plus 210 underdog against Denise Bondar, who I did not think had proven anything to be a minus 250 favorite in the UFC. So losing to Jake Hadley, a guy that I believe Gordon actually missed weight for that fight, man. So I thought it was Jake Hadley that had missed weight. Malcolm Gordon missed weight for that fight. That's a huge problem. He is 32 years of age trying to cut to flyweight. That's difficult to do. But Jimmy Flick, same thing can be said, right? 33 years of age. So the Canadian Malcolm Gordon here is going to have a 2-inch reach advantage. They're going to be at virtual height parity here, 5'7". So I think that you look at these two guys, both of them are coming off 2 straight losses. I think the UFC put this together because, frankly, they both have a grappling style. Neither one of them has a very good chin. So I think that they wanted to see, hey, who can go out there and get a win? And they wanted to give Malcolm Gordon a winnable fight in Canada because he is a Canadian. He is a guy that's gone out there and put on some fights for them, but it's not an easy task, right? Malcolm Gordon typically wants to go out there and leverage that grappling over his opponents. And I'm not sure he can do that against Jimmy Flick, a guy who hasn't been submitted in a pretty lengthy professional career. But I do think that Malcolm Gordon might have the speed and the striking edge. So I think that Flick could get, just caught on the chin pretty early by Malcolm Gordon. Charles Johnson, not a prolific finisher, right? Was able to go out there and get a finish in the very first round against Jimmy Flick. Alessandro Costa was able to go out there and get the 2nd round finish via ground and pound. So I think that when you look at Nate Brown in the comments here, he's making a great point. Flick is so frail. We wish Flick the best, right? We don't root against him or anything, but it just has seemed like he lost some of that physicality when he did a premature retirement. He came back to the game, and I'm just not sure we've seen that same fire, that same tenacity, and I think maybe he's just trying to fight out his contract, get as much money as he can. And I don't blame him for that. I think that's a great idea. Get all the money he can. Malcolm Gordon, one of the more forgiving matchups in the division. Maybe you hit that flying triangle or something, but I just think of this as a spot where if Jimmy Flick is not hitting that flying triangle, if he's not hitting some crazy, move in the early going, I think what's probably going to happen is Malcolm's going to land some big shots on him and wear him down a little bit, maybe outlast him in the cardio as well. I think Malcolm Gordon's probably going to get the job done. Now, am I super comfortable with Malcolm Gordon at chalk prices? No, I can't say I'm eminently comfortable with that. Malcolm Gordon, 0-0 as a UFC favorite, right? Never been favored to win a UFC fight. And Jimmy Flick, on the other hand, is 1-2 as a UFC dog, minus 20% ROI. So Malcolm Gordon, you got no sample size, and Jimmy Flick, you got a negative sample size. So neither one of these guys inspiring a great deal of confidence. But what I can say about this matchup is that you've got, two guys that are both volatile, that are both killer be killed archetypes, that both want to fight in an aggressive fashion. So if you can get a good price on the under, on the fight not to go the distance, maybe you don't try to be Nostradamus, maybe you don't try and pick sides here, and maybe you just hope that somebody gets violently finished because that's been the story of their careers.